Hello you guys, and welcome back to another video. I actually just finished filming the video you're about to watch, but I realized I never really filmed a very good intro clip to this reading vlog, so I thought I would come back in time as if this has not happened yet and say hello and welcome. We are going to be doing a reading vlog in today's video, a lot of just really cozy reading together. I end up doing some cozy hobbies, some cozy crafts. I'll give you a little spoiler alert. I did my nails, so you'll get to see that as well in this video. But yeah, anyway, I so appreciate you guys being here, so please come along. Get yourself a nice beverage, maybe grab your book, maybe, I don't know, study. What do people do? Maybe go on a walk? Hey, whatever you want, whatever floats your boat. And tune on in for this week's video, which is a reading vlog. Let's go. I am about to start The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen, and I'm very excited about this. I have heard this compared to Throne of Glass, which is, as you know me, very high praise, if that is true. And I have heard the main character, Laura, in this book, I believe that's who the comparison is for, but I have heard the main character in this book compared to Selena over and over and over again. So I am really hoping that this pans out. I am hoping to read 3 books in this video, but we might only get to 2. I think I'm gonna read this one and then also Just Friends by Haley Pham. It's looking like that might be what my Bella's Book Babes book club ends up picking, so we'll see. But I am very excited about this. It is really, really beautiful. This is kind of the front map, and it's on the front page. First of all, the gloss of this is so nice. It's very high quality, and I also just love the foiling. Look at that, it's so pretty. I have just been dying to pick this up because honestly, just because oh, it's just so beautiful. Hello. Anyway, yeah, I figure I will bring you right along with me and we will just dive right in. I'll let you guys know what I think as I read it. She has 11 sisters. That's crazy. Guys, I know it looks like I am in the exact same spot, the exact same sweatshirt I was in last night, and that's because, well, I am. But last night I managed to get about this far in the Bridge Kingdom. I challenged myself to get to exactly 100 pages, and we did that. So I just got home. I was hanging out with my family this morning. It is about 1 o'clock. And I figured I would sit here and read for a little bit and bring you guys along with me. So far this is a spoiler-free vlog, and I think I'm gonna keep it that way, but if I do include any spoilers, I will be sure to put that in the video title, and then I also will be sure to note where they are. So far, I am really loving this. It opens pretty much immediately where kind of the plot is listed on the back of the book. So like she's betrothed and ends up getting married, and that's kind of like right where we open up. And again, not a spoiler because like that is all information you get on the back of the book. But I found myself today like just thinking about this when I was out and about, and I was like, I want to come home and I want to read. I have my little nice, you can probably hear it, like ambiance in the background. And yeah, I just kind of set up a little cozy vibe. It actually is randomly slightly chilly today. It's been rainy, which I love. I love like a peaceful rainy spring day. And it's been a little bit chilly. Well, chilly for Florida. It's been like 68 degrees, which is like, I know not chilly in most places, but chilly for us, especially in May. So I am just like cozied up here. I don't think I can like zoom out, but yeah, I'm just like cozied up here on my couch, and I think I'm going to read a little bit, and I will check in if anything interesting happens. Okay, they're playing a bit of a game of like basically truth or dare, and she thinks that he's gonna like try to interrogate her because duh, like obviously they're sketched out by each other, but he just asks her what her favorite color is because he's like actually trying to get to know her. I am just so excited for, and again, this is not a spoiler. Literally on the back it says, as her feelings for her husband transform from frosty hostility to fierce passion. So like we know she's at some point gonna like fall in love with him or like begin to care for him, because she's also, it says she has to choose which kingdom she'll save and which she'll destroy. So that also shows me that I imagine she gets somewhat connected to where she's now living, and I am just so excited for it to like kind of turn and for them to start like sharing with each other, because like don't get me wrong, I do love a good secret, but there's just like nothing better than when they go from like enemies to lovers. There's nothing better for that, and I'm so excited. You guys, first of all, I'm sorry it's probably so loud in here because I have my white noise going on, my fan going, and then I'm pretty sure there's a helicopter outside, and because of that my dogs are barking. Anyway, I just had to chime in. I'm reading The Bridge Kingdom, okay? And you guys, I'm keeping this spoiler free, but I want you guys to read this because I need somebody to talk to about this. She is falling for him. She is still being a little conniving little spy, and I need her to stop. Every time she does a little spy thing, I'm like, that man loves you. Stop. Which like, okay, technically he doesn't like love her yet, because like again, we like, I mean, I'm pretty far in, but like again, this is book 1, we just started. Forced marriage, close proximity, that kind of thing. And again, none of these are spoilers. Nothing I'm saying cannot be found in the back of the book. She's a spy, we know that, okay? We knew she was gonna be doing some spying. This is not a like, please don't be Kale in TOG when he's like, A Darlin's assassin? Is an assassin? Yes, she's a spy. We get it, okay? But every time she does something sneaky, like every time she's like, oh, Erin, will you take me down to the boats so I can just look at the ocean? I'm like, first of all, don't do it. She's trying to trick you. Second of all, girl, stop. Like, you have this sexy, broody, hot man. And one thing that I don't understand is, like, the premise of... Yes, so the premise of this book, again, just going... Sorry, my camera work here is going to be atrocious. Just going on what it says on the back of the book is essentially Ithacanna, which is Erin's kingdom that she was married into, deprives the rest of the world of like trade opportunities because they're in control of the bridge, right? But I'm just thinking, like, if you're the queen now, though, could you not like work on that? You know what I mean? Like, why is invasion the only option? Because, like, I don't understand whenever at the end it's like Laura must choose which kingdom she'll save and which she'll destroy. Why are those the only choices? And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe at some point she does go to Erin and she's like, hey, sup, can I get like better, you know, shit for my country? Maybe that's the case. And he says no. Okay, but so far, kind of just seems like maybe she's not really thinking with her head, you know? So anyway, I just had to update you guys because the tension's insane. I absolutely love a forced proximity. I absolutely love an enemies to lovers, although she's more his enemy than he's hers. Like, he really seems to be letting that shit go really quickly, but then again, she was raised to hate him. So anyway, I will keep you updated. But anyway, I just wanted to check in because I'm reading this. I'm making really good progress. I'm like a little, like, from that angle it looked like exactly half, but I'm like a little bit over half way through. So I think I'm probably gonna finish this maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. Yeah, so I think the next book I might pick up after this will be Just Friends by Haley Pham. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm very interested in that. So yeah, anyway, just keeping you guys posted. Check in later. Thanks. Okay, so again, this is going to be spoiler free, so I'm going to speak in code, but I am just about to finish The Bridge Kingdom. I'm on page 336, and let's see, how many pages do I have left? This ends on page 412, so nearly there. Less than 100. But basically, long story short, our main character did something in earlier chapters that I hated and I wish she hadn't done, and then she didn't tell him about it. And so now, if you know, you know, we're coming to the consequences of her actions. So I am annoyed at her. I'm kind of pissed at the writing of this in a way because I feel like on some level, like, I get we have to have conflict. This is what I struggle with in books. I understand we have to have conflict, and I understand miscommunication is a big way conflict happens, but if I was in her shoes, the first thing I would have done is share this bit of information. I wouldn't have kept it to myself. And I don't understand why she didn't. Like, I understand why she says she didn't. I don't feel like it's a good reason. So because of that, I'm pissed at her, and I kind of want to just be like, oh, okay, done with this, because, like, the miscommunication is pissing me off. So anywho, I might, like, I have like this much left, and I really want to just be done with this book. So I'm like, should I just keep reading? I don't know. I feel like, yes, I should on some level just keep reading and finish it. It's only like 9:30 or something like that, so I have like a ton of time. I probably could go ahead and just finish this tonight, but at the same time I'm annoyed, so I kind of like don't want to, but we'll see. I'm gonna keep reading. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read the freaking second one, although I kind of have a bit of a theory on how the second one's gonna end, just like predicting. Also, I will say officially now, I don't think this has any magic, which is interesting because I didn't know it could technically be considered a fantasy book if there was no, like, what you would typically think is like a fantasy element, like magic, mythical things. But yeah, apparently it can be fantasy as long as it takes place in a made-up world and has like so like the bridge in this, I think it's kind of like we don't know how it was made, but like for me, I was perceiving that to be like we don't know how it's made, kind of like how we like don't know how the pyramids were made, you know, or like how there's like places even in like our world where we're like, how did that get there? But it's like that's not considered fantasy, you know what I mean? So anyway, I guess I like kind of get why it's considered fantasy, but I don't agree with why it's considered fantasy. So either way, okay, I think I'm gonna keep reading. And I'll update you when I finish. Okay, update. It's been 15 minutes. I read the rest of the chapter I was just reading when I updated you. Attempted to read the next chapter, got infuriated and pissed off, had to take a small mental health break, and now I'm starting a new book. I'm not DNFing the other one. I am gonna finish. It would be crazy to DNF with like less than 100 pages left. I will be finishing it, but I need to clear out some space in there. I think maybe I'll read like 20 pages of that a day for the rest of the week, and then I'll like binge this, because I was planning to finish that then start this, but I think that book's gonna be too much for me to deal with every day. And it's, very conflicting, because the reason I'm so fucked up about this is because it's really good and I'm enjoying it and I really enjoy the characters and I just want them to be in love and make out, and they've done none of that, and things are about to get really bad, you know? And so anyway, yeah. So I'm going to be starting Just Friends by Haley Pham. I've been wanting to read this for a while, see my thoughts. So I thought I'd dive in, see what I think. Yeah, this is a really pretty version. So, you know, that's about it. Anyway, I'm gonna dive in, start reading this. I'll update you with my thoughts. everybody. I am just getting started for the day listening to my audiobook. I have been listening, mind my ducking, to Just Friends by Haley Pham. I am currently about this far through, this being the beginning, this the end. So going pretty well. I think my audiobook says I have about 4 hours left, but I do listen a little faster than like just 1x speed. So I think it's probably a bit less than that. And so far, I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's definitely not like the best romance book I've ever read, but it's by no means the worst. So far, I am enjoying the story. I think it's a little, I think it's fairly simple, and I think that's maybe what a lot of people don't like about it. But I think for me, it's been a really nice palate cleanser, a really nice refresher. It's something that I look forward to listening to because it's not creating any kind of like turmoil within. It's really just a, like a cozy read. I think that's the best way I can think to describe it. It kind of feels like when you turn on like a comfort show, whenever you like don't know what to watch, like that's kind of what it's giving for me. There's no like, there is like some themes of grief. So I think maybe if you have just experienced a loss, this could maybe trigger that a little bit, but I do think it's done in a very, I was trying to describe this to my friends last night. I don't want to say lighthearted way because I think it's done well, but it's not done in a really like gruesome, very like heart-wrenching way. It's kind of just exploring themes of grief through our main character and kind of the feelings she's experiencing. And I think it's done very minimally. So it's not like the whole book feels heavy, if that makes sense. But yeah, this has been really nice reading alongside The Bridge Kingdom, because The Bridge Kingdom has been just a journey for me. It's been very hit or miss. I'm excited to finish it meaning The Bridge Kingdom, because I do think that it's a good book. I think especially with the second one, which I don't know when or if I'm going to read yet, but I have a feeling once I read the second one, I believe it's a duology within a like interconnected universe of like 6 books, I think. But yeah, I think once I read the second one, maybe it'll be like 4 stars between the two of them. But I think the first one on its own is feeling kind of like a 3.5 for me right now, which is not a bad thing at all. That's a good rating. Anything above a 3 is above average in my opinion. So it's definitely feeling pretty good. I think my biggest issue with it is that the biggest conflict is a miscommunication trope, and it's one that's very frustrating to me because it doesn't feel super realistic. So that's kind of my biggest complaint with that. But right now I am just going to do, I think, a little bit of coloring. And I am going to keep listening to my audiobook while I color, and we will then just see what we get up to today. I'm kind of taking it easy today. I've been feeling a little bit tired. I have my iced latte here, and then tonight we're going to Trevor's grandmother's, but kind of in between, I don't have a lot of plans, so I'm kind of playing it by ear. I might at some point today go see my sister. I know I am gonna go to the gym today at some point, and yeah, but like in between all of those things, I don't really know. So yeah, we shall see. you guys, I finished my little drawing. I think she's really cute. I might go through and add some highlights with like a little white pen, but I do like to let these fully dry before I do that, because otherwise it just like bleeds together. Also, this light back here is kind of crazy. Anyway, I have about 2 hours left in my audiobook, so I don't know what I'm gonna do now, but we'll see. I also need to finish my Bridge Kingdom book. So yeah, we'll see what else we get up to today, and I will catch up with you then. Okay, you guys, I am still listening to my audiobook, except now I'm listening to the Bridge Kingdom audiobook because I have been struggling to get through that book, and I have like an hour left, according to the audiobook, and the audiobook was free on Audible. So I thought, you know, let's just do our nails. Mine are pretty crusty dusty, and we'll listen to this audiobook and we will go ahead and just get through it and call it a day. I think mainly, I don't know, I'm not gonna say anything. Let's finish it and see what I think. Okay, one hand done with tips. We're still listening to Bridge Kingdom. Kind of heating up, I will say. There was a bit of a plot twist that just happened that I did not expect, so that's pretty good. But yeah, aside from that, it's kind of going how I expected, except for that one little plot twist. So I'm actually kind of nervous to see how it ends. But this ending, depending on how it goes, making me feel better about reading the second one, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to do this on my other hand, and then we're gonna get to painting. Okay, you guys, I was freaking wrong, I'll admit it. The Bridge Kingdom, it just fucked me up. Okay, that was so good, the end. I still stand by my miscommunication. I still stand by that. So because of that, it cannot be a 5-star, but I'm thinking it's like a 3.75 for the first book, which is really good considering, like I said, I think the second could take us even as high as like a 4.25, 4.5 if it's just like out of this world. The ending saved that book, honestly. The beginning was amazing, the ending was amazing. There was like this small bit in the middle that I just was like not a huge fan of, but again, I think that's gonna be fine. I am doing polish on my nails now, so I'm like not even like halfway done. So I'm jumping back now to listen to Just Friends, and the goal is to finish both of those today. So we finished Bridge Kingdom. I'm gonna do a formal kind of sit down review at the end of this, and we did we're gonna do Just Friends. We're gonna finish that up. I'm really enjoying Just Friends so far. I think I already said that. But yeah, it's kind of been the perfect thing to pair with reading Bridge Kingdom, because it's been very lighthearted. I also think my mistake with Bridge Kingdom is the audiobook's really good. So I think for the next one, I'm gonna listen to the audiobook, and I like to have an audiobook while I do like pottery and things like this. So I think I'm gonna make that kind of my like designated book for like my designated audiobook of the week, I guess we could say. But anyway, yeah, I am now just finishing up Polish, listening to that. Ain't no thing. So anyway, I'll check back in with you guys later. Hello. Okay, so first things first, I have to show you the nails. The nails. I think these turned out so freaking cute. I don't do tips on my nails very often since I tend to do pottery, but I just did pottery yesterday, so I have a whole week before I have to go back, and I'm pretty sure a lot of this coming week is going to be hand building, so the nails should be okay at least for the next 2 weeks, and mine don't normally last more than about 2.5 weeks. So anyway, I'm hoping they turn out really well, or they last really well. Otherwise, maybe I can wear like gloves to pottery, but yeah. Anyway, okay, let's dive in to the topic of conversation. First things first, I do want to talk about how beautiful this book cover is, and you guys already know I will be reading the next one. I was so back and forth on this book, but I think I needed to have a little bit more faith in Miss Jensen here, because I was really digging it probably until about this far in. Then I got a little nervous, a little scared. I wasn't sure how things were gonna go. It felt like the ending was gonna be really predictable, which I don't love. So I was having kind of a hard time continuing it. I did also, unfortunately, spill some water on this copy, but I powered through listening to the audiobook. It's actually free on Audible, which was a game changer. So I stuck that on for the last hour and was very, very pleasantly surprised by the ending. So I think in the next little bit, I will probably try to listen to the second one of this like duology within the series, because I'm pretty sure I've said this before, 6 books, but it's 3 duologies is my assumption on how this goes. So I definitely will be reading the second one. I need to figure out how that happens. I'm excited to see how they tie this story up, or at least how they transition into the next couple books. But yeah, in general, I really am liking it. I think I'm gonna settle on a 3.75 for this. I think that because of that little bit in the middle, like I said, miscommunication being the main conflict is something that I do struggle with being obsessed with. I typically cannot get on board with that. It kind of depends on how it's done. And in this, I do feel like it could have been done in a little bit of a less predictable way. So that kind of takes it down from a 4 for me, but I still would highly recommend this. I also do think if I had not gone into this under the assumption it was a fantasy, like a mythical, magical fantasy, I also maybe would have liked it a little bit more. So I think going into the next one, my expectations are a little bit more aligned. So I think we're in a good place there. But in general, I would definitely recommend this, and I am very glad that I read it. yeah, I liked our main character. I really love our MMC in this book. I think he's a lot more mature than our FMC, which I think that does make sense given our FMC's background and how she grew up, because she was very sheltered. And so I think because of that, she's a little bit immature. She definitely improves by the end. I think her character development is impressive, but I think, you know, in the first half of it, I think she obviously is just really naive, and I am very much looking forward to seeing her kind of step into her own, become her own in the next book. So that is my thoughts on the Bridge Kingdom. The next book I finished in this reading vlog was Just Friends by Haley Pham. I am literally coming off the tails of just finishing this. I really want to get this video up this week, so I was kicking my butt to finish both of these today, but specifically this one, because this one I still had about 3 hours left. I had about 3 hours left on this one, so I was really pushing to get this one finished by today. And you know what? I'm really glad I did. I do think that this is a pretty strong self-insert, but I'm not mad about it. I think this felt very, very, very much like watching a Hallmark movie. It was pretty simple, but it was really lighthearted. I was getting emotional at times, especially when our main character was talking about some of her grief experiences. I also really liked Declan. I think he definitely, especially in the beginning, had some, you know, immaturities to him, but I also think a lot of what I've heard about this book is that like a lot of the main characters are very immature, and I think when you go to the flashback scenes, I think that's very true, but I think you also have to remember that they're 17 in those scenes. Like, they're babies, they're just teenagers, they're gonna be immature, like especially when we get to the scene where Declan is essentially making an offer to help take care of her, which is not a spoiler, that's just like a tiny detail. I'm not going to share any more details on that, but when he, you know, kind of makes that offer, that's incredibly naive. That's such an immature offer. I'm very glad that she did not take it. But yeah, I think some of those things are just a given. I also think even in the like present timeline, I think that she's just graduated college with a bachelor's degree, so she's only like 22, 23. That's also quite young. So I can understand some of the levels of immaturity here. I also think these characters, being young, are experiencing a lot of things they've never experienced before in life. So for example, Blair going through grief for the first time in a really serious way, like she's dealing with it maybe not the same way a 27-year-old or a 35-year-old who's maybe lost someone before would deal with grief, but she's basically having lost like a parent, you know, like that's a really serious thing. And I think we are like, the way she deals with it, I think is very human. It's not necessarily super straightforward. It's, you know, erratic, and she makes a lot of bad choices. And I think that's not something we can, you know, necessarily fault her for, because I think a lot of us would behave erratically in that kind of situation. So yeah, overall story, plot, I think was pretty good. So I think all in all, I'm gonna end this book with, I'm feeling a 3.75 for this one as well. I think I would recommend it. It's such a good palate cleanser. It was so nice to listen to this and just walk around my neighborhood, or like you saw, color, do my nails, like any of those things. It was just so peaceful to have on in the background. It wasn't high stress. Coming off of this, that was giving me like heartburn listening and reading it because I was so freaking stressed out. Maybe this hit me at the right time. Maybe I picked reading this at the perfect time. One, the vibes, obviously this time of year, but also just like going through the Bridge Kingdom and then having this as just a no stakes book, knowing we were gonna have a happy ending, just brought so much peace to my heart. So I would definitely recommend this, especially to any romance girlies. I think one of the biggest complaints I saw about this is the way Haley Pham writes, in terms of like using big words. I think there's like maybe 3 scenarios in the whole book I was like, girl, I might would have edited that out. Like, I think the most popular one is when she says a conglomerate of pedestrians, mainly because I don't really feel like that's how that word should be used, but I think that was kind of her intention, is to kind of be like, oh, that's an interesting way to think about that. Like, I think it was meant to kind of make you think and be like, oh, that's weird. I just don't think it landed. And then I think Declan, for some reason, uses a lot of like British, not slang, but like there's one point where like Blair herself says like bloody, like in a very British way, and that kind of threw me off. I was like, is there an inside joke I'm missing? And if I did miss something, because like I said, I did read this pretty quick, let me know. But I was just like, I'm missing the British thing. Is somebody British? I don't understand. So that was a little weird. And then aside from that, like, I mean, it was pretty swift, like in terms of plot. There was a couple of times that I felt like, for example, like her friends were like kind of shitty. I think especially them not like checking in on her, and I understand what she's saying. Like, I do think she makes up for the fact that she kind of writes them shitty in the beginning. I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts about this, because I feel like at the beginning they seem shitty, but also that's how Blair is perceiving them, because she feels really bad about her aunt. So I'm like, are they being written shitty because we did not write them well, or are we perceiving them as Blair is perceiving them? Which I do think is interesting. Wasn't enough to make me not like the book. Wasn't enough to make me be like, hey, Blair, find some better friends. And then I do think as the book goes on, it does explain their behavior, and then it gets better. So that's kind of what makes me think maybe we're just experiencing her friends through Blair's perspective, which I think is something that we need to consider when reading books more, because I have read quite a few books or seen quite a few book reviews where people are like, oh, this character's awful, or this perspective is horrible, or whatever. And I'm like, right, because it's supposed to be. Like, again, with this, like, maybe Blair's friends suck in the beginning because we are viewing them through Blair, who is resenting them. You know what I mean? And as she heals from that resentment, they start to appear better. So I feel like there's some space there. I do think the thing that I'm really trying to say with this is, I do think at this point, her friends are old enough to understand that, like, yeah, if your friend has a loss they're experiencing, you probably should check in with them, and be sensitive. I think that that is just kind of a given. So I don't necessarily agree with the fact that in this book, it kind of paints them being somewhat neglectful as, well, yeah, they're just living their lives and I haven't asked for help, so they didn't help me because I didn't ask. Okay, but at the same time, common decency. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not expecting them to call you and be, you know, perfect as if they've gone through the exact same thing. Like, maybe they slip up and say something awkward, maybe whatever. I am expecting your best friends to call you. So that's another thing that I was like, that doesn't feel right to me. So anyway, all of that to say, like I said, this is like a 3.75 for me. I also, sorry, I got on a little bit of a tangent. I do want to talk about the big word usage. I do think I understand why it might bug some people. I don't feel like there were a ton of words in here that I personally felt like were so large it felt awkward, and I felt like I needed to look them up. It felt very Emily Henry-esque to me in that way, and I know Emily Henry is one of Haley Pham's favorite authors, so that made sense to me. I also think like Blair is almost like aware of herself using big words that maybe don't fit in a specific sentence, and I think they kind of make fun of that in this a little bit. So I think Haley is aware that using some of these big words maybe feels a little clunky, maybe feels a little bit silly, but that's just something she enjoys doing, so she did it in her book. And I think I can't fault her for that. I think the fact that it's mentioned in this, like Blair and Declan laugh about it, Declan makes fun of her for it a little bit, I'm like, I can't fault you for that. Like, you obviously are aware it's a little awkward. You're obviously aware some people aren't going to vibe with it. So anyway, I know this book's slightly controversial. This is also my Bella's Book Babes book for May, so I did want to share as many thoughts as I had on it. So there you go. That wraps up all of my thoughts on Just Friends by Haley Pham. I'm glad I read it. I would definitely read another Haley Pham book again. And yeah, that wraps up this reading vlog, you guys. We finished 2 books in this vlog. I am currently reading a dark fantasy romance, so I'm excited to update you guys on that. I'm hoping to finish that this month. And then we are also starting a new book club book for my local book club, which is actually a book I have already read, Silver Elite by Danny Francis, but it is the book that my friend Rachel chose as her birthday month book. So I think what I'm gonna do is reread that, and then I think after that I'm going to try to read Broken Dove. But yeah, we have a lot of new fun books coming up in the next little bit, so please stay tuned if you would like to see what I get up to, what I read, those kind of things. And yeah, I so appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for coming back for another video. I will see you next week for a new video. Please like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. Thank you so much.